Hello everybody and welcome back to my channel. I'm sorry, it's been so long and I haven't filmed one of these videos because frankly I just kind of forget, and weirdly enough it feels like time's going by so fast. So yeah, if you can hear my fan, I turned off one of them, but I have a small fan over here that's blowing on me. It wasn't as loud as the other one, so I hope you can't hear it, but if you can, sorry, not sorry. It's just too hot here. So that's the first thing out of the way. Um, so today I'm trying to remember the last time I filmed one of these. I know I haven't filmed since 15 weeks, and right now I'm in the middle of 18 weeks. So I guess this would be like 15, 16, 17, and part of 18 because I always include whatever week I'm in. So I guess I will just start. Like, I haven't had tons of changes, but I have had like a lot of appointments that were really important, so I'll talk about those. So in week 15, like towards the very end of week 15, I had an appointment where I went to the specialist for an ultrasound because of my weight. I am like high risk, so I have to see a specialist. So it was really bad. It was a horrible experience. I'm not gonna get into like tons of detail about it. I'll just say like they didn't really talk to you much. They're just like, sit in this room, somebody will be with you. I got called back for a ultrasound, and I always hold up my stomach for people because I'm a big girl and I know like my baby's not going to be like right in the front of my stomach because I'm fat. So like I hold up my stomach when I'm doing ultrasounds. Whenever I'm doing it, I'm very nice like that. And the lady put the stuff on my stomach, and I was like, immediately when she went in, I started like cringing and like, ow. She was like digging so hard. No reaction from her. And then like she had me like turn over and she dug in so hard. I like cried out. She's like, "Oh, did that hurt?" I'm like, "Yeah, it was nothing. No, it was no big deal. Don't worry about it." Like trying to play it off because like I was super excited to see my baby, and I didn't even like I walked in to get my ultrasound, and the room was pitch black already. Like it was already dark, so I'm walking into a dark room, and then I like go and like I wore a dress, so I like lifted up my dress, did the whole thing, exposed my stomach, and she didn't say like anything to me. Like, this was my first time there. I didn't know till halfway through the ultrasound that there was a TV in front of me with the ultrasound on it. I'm sitting here trying to look at her screen, which is facing her, and I'm sitting here, like, trying to look at that because she didn't tell me there was a TV in front of me that had the ultrasound on it. And she's, like, digging into me the whole time. I'm, like, cringing and, like, ow, and no reaction from her. Like, she doesn't give a shit. And then she's like mad because the baby, like she literally was like mad because the baby was hiding in my hip, and she's like tapping on my stomach, like, "Come on, baby, come on." And I was just like, "You're hurting me. This baby isn't gonna move." And she's like, "I'm not gonna be able to get a really good picture." She's like, "You're only gonna get two." I'm like, "Okay." She's like, "Baby's upside down." I'm like, "Oh, okay." And I like asked her questions. I was like, "Well, does baby look like it's measuring right? Does baby look like everything's okay?" I can't tell you any of that, which I've learned now that they really can't tell you anything. But she's like, "I can't tell you anything." So then the ultrasound's over, and she like gives me like paper towels to clean myself up, and I'm like wiping myself down, and I'm like, "Is there supposed to be blood?" And she's like, "There's blood?" I'm like, "Yeah." She's like, "No, there's not supposed to be blood." She's like, "You should probably talk to your," and I literally said, I was like, "You know what? You probably just like, you probably just rubbed me raw. Like, no big deal." Like, trying to play it off like, it's okay. And she's like, "You know what? You should probably talk to your doctor. You might have a skin disease." And I was like, "Bitch, you heard me laying there, groaning in pain for like the last 10 minutes. Didn't like react at all. And now I probably have a skin disease." I was so mad. Like, I was playing it off like it was no big deal. I was like, "No, it's probably nothing." And she's like, "You probably have a skin disease." Like, she was so mad at me, and I was just like, really over that experience. And then, like, she's like, she told me that she couldn't tell me anything, but then at the end, she told me, like, what the weight of my baby was. Which I was like, I thought you couldn't tell me anything, but you can tell me the weight of my baby, which was cool because I was able to check like my weekly tracker thing on my phone. And I found out that baby was like measuring ahead, not like 1 week, but 2 weeks. Like 2 weeks ahead, baby was like weighing more than it should like for the next 2 weeks, which is fine. I'm fat, baby's probably gonna be fat. I have no problem with that. But after that, like, they sat me in a room, and then they're like, they didn't tell me anything, so I thought I was done, because I thought I was only there for an ultrasound. I wait another 30 minutes, and then I'm called in to see the doctor. I didn't even know I was supposed to see a doctor. And they're like, oh, well, your doctor will tell you about the ultrasound. This doctor didn't tell me anything about my ultrasound. But she did take 2 personal calls during our little, like, 20-minute meetings. So, yeah, that was a great experience. So that was at 15 weeks. And they also told me they wouldn't check for gender because they don't check for gender till 16 weeks. And I was like 2 days away from 16 weeks. So they wouldn't check, which is fine because baby was hiding in my hip anyways. And I'm sure that would have been hell on me with that woman. So, kind of grateful. Also, when I went into the doctor's office and like actually talked to the real doctor, she was like mad at me because my doctor hadn't sent her all my test results, so they didn't know what blood test I had so far. And she like was like kind of mad at me, and I was just like, why is everybody like mad at me for things? Like, what? Why is everybody yelling at me? This is supposed to be a happy time. I'm having a baby. But it was just like really cold. So, the next week, which would be week 17, again, no real symptoms, but I did end up going to my midwife, who, oh my god, I love my midwife. I went to her the next week, and before because I was planning on telling my midwife about my experience, but before I even did, you see the nurse first and they take your vitals, and I love my nurse. She's pregnant. She's super sweet. And she was talking to me, and she's like, oh, you went to the specialist. She's like, we just got a call about them. Before I've said anything, she's like, we just got a call about them. And one of our people said that they're, like, super cold, and she hated it. And I was like, well, actually, I'm like, I hated it, too. I'm like, the lady made me bleed and then tried to blame it on me. By the way, that night when I got home after my ultrasound, I had my husband check. Like, I lifted up my stomach and had him check, and he's like, yeah, you can see where she ripped your skin here and here, like on both sides. She just dug in till she ripped my skin. So, but then at the appointment, my nurse actually said something about it before I said anything about it, and I was like, wow, they must not have, like, really great service if people are already talking crap about them before I've even said anything. So she's like, well, you do have an alternative to go to someplace else, but it's like an hour away. And I said, you know what, no, I'll stick with this one because it's closer, but I'm giving them one more chance, but if it's like it was the first time, I will start going to the one that's an hour away, because that's ridiculous. So my midwife finally came in, and I told her, and she's like, yeah, I've heard that the lady's kind of rough in the beginning when giving ultrasounds. I'm like, what? This is your job to give ultrasounds. What do you mean you've heard she's kind of rough during ultrasounds? Is that a thing? So, at that appointment, you know, they, when I see my midwife, they don't do ultrasounds there because obviously I go to a specialist for that, but they do check the baby's heartbeat, which is my favorite thing in the whole world. And every time my midwife, who I love, checks my heartbeat, like, baby's heartbeat's so good, but then baby's always just like kicking and moving, and it's just best thing ever. And that day I had a blood test for, I think it's like genetic stuff and birth defects. If you're pregnant, you like understand what that test is. It's a test they give everyone, but they were doing my test then, and I was like, okay, cool, whatever. So they took my blood, and they ask you beforehand, they're like, does anybody in your family have any of these things? Like, there's words for this and I can't think of it, like, I can't think of it, but like, does anybody in your family have a history of these specific diseases? And then also with your husband, I was like, no, neither of us have any of these. So I was like, I'm gonna be fine, nothing to worry about. It's just a test I do, just like the one for diabetes, which I passed. So they took the test on a Thursday, and then the next Monday I got a call. And it was just one of the nurses, and she was like, hi, your midwife would like you to come in and schedule an appointment for your, I'm trying to remember the exact words they said because I hate the words they use, abnormal test results. And I'm just like, oh. And in that moment, my heart sank, and I started having an anxiety attack. And I was like, okay, well, this is my last week of work, so let me schedule it for Friday, because that's the only day my husband's off, and he can bring me in. And I was like, I'm like starting to like really get emotional. I'm like, yeah, let's do that. And then I start freaking out. I'm like texting my husband, and then I'm like, I can't last this long. So I actually got up and I started going for a walk because I needed to calm myself down. And I'm not even halfway on my walk. I've gone a block, and I can hear thunder, like it's about to rain. I'm like, crap, I'm gonna have to go back home. And my husband calls me right then. He's like, hey, what's wrong? Are you okay? And I'm telling him everything that's going on, and I'm like hyperventilating because I'm freaking out so much. And I was like, I made the appointment for Friday. He's like, well, can you go in today? I'll like come now if you can go in today. I'm like, let me call them. So I called them back, and they're like, no, we don't have any appointments today. We have an appointment tomorrow. And they said they didn't have any appointments that day, on Monday. And then I was like, can I talk to my midwife? Because they wouldn't tell me, they wouldn't tell me anything over the phone, which they're like not supposed to. But I knew if I talked to my midwife, because I love my midwife, I knew she'd calm me down and like be like, everything's okay, don't worry, you're gonna be fine. So they're like, yeah, your midwife's here, let me switch you over. And I think I have apparently like 3 midwives, and they put me on the phone with somebody I've never met or talked to before in my life, ever. And I was like, and I was like, and because I was so scared, I was like, am I gonna be okay? And they're like, yeah, you're gonna be fine. And I literally said that because I was panicking scared. I don't know why I said that specific question, but they're like, yeah, you're gonna be fine. It's nothing to do with you. Which in my head was like, oh, it's baby. Something's wrong with baby. And, I was just like, I was so scared. And I started crying on the phone, and the lady's like, can you come in tomorrow? And I was like, I don't know. I don't know if I can come in tomorrow. So, like, I like, hung up with her, and I called my husband, like, and I was like, you know, is there a chance you can go in late tomorrow? Because in my head, I was like, the appointment they have tomorrow is in the morning, because all my appointments are in the morning. I'm like, I'm just going to call them back and make the appointment for tomorrow, because I can't wait till Friday. I'm just going to be a mess. So, I called them back after talking to my husband again, and said, hey, can I switch my appointment to tomorrow? And I'm like, what do you guys have available? And all they had was 3:30. So I was like, you know what? That's fine. I'll figure out a way to get there. I'm like, if I have to take the bus, I will get there. So I called my mother-in-law. I was like, hey, are you off work by 3:30 tomorrow? She's like, yeah. I'm like, could you drop me off at the doctor's? She's like, yeah, is everything okay? And I like told her what's happening, and I'm like sobbing. She's like, hey, calm down. You know, they tried to freak me out once when I was pregnant with my husband, and, you know, it was just blood pressure. And in my head, I'm like, yeah, it's probably nothing, but I'm also like, I know it's not blood pressure because it's baby and not me. So I was just, like, really kind of freaking out. But I went for my walk, and by the end of my walk, I was, like, much calmer. And my husband, I guess, while at work, the sweetheart he is, was, like, researching it. He's like, okay, the test that you took can only tell you that there's a chance you could have this. It's not indefinite. And he like told me all the different things that they were testing for, because I wasn't exactly sure. Like, they had listed off some things, but I didn't know all the stuff. And it was like, you know, heart defects and Down syndrome and autism and spina bifida and I think like a couple other things. And I was like, in my head, I'm like, oh my God, please don't let it be anything with the heart. Please just let it be something that isn't life-threatening. And in my head, I'm like, please just let it be Down. Because I've always actually said for the last couple years, I'm like, oh my God, I have heartburn. Hold on. I was like, I would love to have a kid with Down syndrome. They are just the sweetest, happiest kids in the whole world. And they have like the cutest freaking faces. And I'm like, I would love to have a kid with Down syndrome. Oh, my hair is a mess. What? Okay. But I was like so worried. So like my whole walk, I'm literally just walking and praying, like, please just let her say it's Down. Please. And I mean, I must have said this in my head like 100 times. Like, and I just like played out this thing where like I went in and she like came in and she's like, it's Down. And then I was so happy and I'm like, yeah. And then, so the next day I go to the doctor's and I'm thinking, because I'm just getting test results, that they're just going to like call me into her office. She's going to sit down with me and tell me what it is. But no, that's not the case. I go in, they take my vitals, like a nurse comes in, takes my vitals, and she's like, "Hey, I'm taking your blood pressure," and I'm like, haha, it's gonna be high. And it actually wasn't nearly as bad as I thought it was gonna be. It was only like 10, the top number was only like 10 higher than it normally is or something. It wasn't bad at all. And, but I expected it to be like through the roof. So, she leaves, and the second the nurse leaves, she's like, "Your midwife will be in a few minutes." And the second she leaves, I lose it, because I'm alone in the, doctor's office, and I fucking lose it. And I'm just, like, crying, and, like, sitting perfectly still in this chair with, like, my hands on my knees, and I'm just, like, kind of just, like, rubbing my knees, and then I started, like, weirdly, like, playing with my hands, like, just, like, I was so scared, like, the scaredest I've ever been, and I swear to God, it felt like a lifetime before my midwife came in, and it was like, it was the worst, because I was just there with my thoughts, and even in those moments, I'm just like, please just let her tell me it's down, please just let her tell me it's down. And I remember thinking, I'm like, I have wished so hard that she's gonna come in here and tell me it's Down syndrome, that there's no way she's gonna come in here and tell me it's Down syndrome. And she comes in, and she walks in, she goes, "I heard you called yesterday crying," and I just, like, I lost it. I'm like, yeah, I just wanted to talk to you. I just wanted you to make me feel better. And she's like, "I'm sorry, I was at a, different hospital taking a class so I could be with you when you give birth." Which, I was like, okay, but, like, I was, like, really upset. And she's like, "Okay, so I need to talk to you." She's like, "The test that we take, or that you took, has a 5% false positive, which in the scheme of tests is actually quite a large percentage." And I'm like, okay. I'm like, well, that's good. And then she looks at me, she goes, "You tested positive for Down." And I was like, "That's it? Just Down?" And she's like, "Just Down?" And I'm like, "It's just Down?" And she's like, "Yeah." And I just started crying. I was like, there's no way. She just told me that the only thing I tested positive for was Down. Like, and I, like, explained to her why I was so happy, and she was just like, "You were just the most amazing person I've ever met, and your baby is so lucky to have you." And I was just like, you just, like, gave me the best news ever. I was just so, I was so relieved when she said those words, and I was like, I was just happy crying for, like, the next 10 minutes, and then she's like, "Okay, get up on the table, we're gonna check for baby's heart." I'm like, really? Because she knows that I love when we check for baby's heartbeat. It's my favorite thing in the whole world. It just, like, it reassures that, like, baby's okay and happy, and, hold on, and everything's okay. So, I, like, hopped up on the table so excited, and she, like, checked for baby's heartbeat, and, like, we heard baby's heartbeat for, like, 2 seconds, and then you just hear swoosh, swoosh, swoosh. And, like, baby's just, like, kicking and moving, and she's like, "Your baby is moving so much." I was like, awesome. She's like, "But we heard the heartbeat, so everything's okay." I'm like, okay, that's fine. So, I was just, like, so relieved, and she's like, "With this, we have to do a blood test." Sorry, I'm, like, looking up a lot because I'm thinking. She's like, "We have to do a blood test where they call it, like, a withdrawal, where they take your blood, and then in your blood, they take out baby's DNA and test baby's DNA. She's like, "We don't do it here, so I have to go get a kit for you to take home, and somebody will come to your house and do it." And I'm like, okay. She's like, "With this test, they can also find out baby's gender." And I literally lost my shit. I'm like, "Are you serious?" I'm like, "I'm gonna find out baby's gender?" She's like, "Yes." I'm like, over the moon. So that was at 17 weeks. She brought me the kit, and that was on a Tuesday. I went in on the Tuesday, and then I had to wait. They said it was like a 3-day wait thing before they could schedule something. And they called me, and they scheduled it for Monday, 18 weeks, which was 2 days ago. So last Monday, the lady came and took my blood, and my midwife also told me that she had it expedited. So as soon as they, like, saw that it was mine, apparently they would rush it to get the results. I really want to find out baby's gender. This is going to sound horrible, but I'm kind of more excited to find out baby's gender than whether or not baby has Down syndrome, because if baby has Down syndrome or not, baby's my baby. I'm gonna love baby all the same. Baby is my baby. But finding out my baby's gender is kind of gonna change my life. Like, I know finding out if my baby has Down syndrome would change my life as well, but it's not gonna change the way I feel about my baby. Like, my baby's still my baby, no matter what. I will love my baby and take care of my baby all the same. But, like, finding out the gender of your baby just, it changes, like, everything. It's like, it's now either a boy or a girl, and, like, I feel like I will feel so much more connected, and I can finally start buying things without my husband being like, no, you don't know the gender yet, you can't buy stuff. So, I'm, like, really excited to buy things, because I'm almost halfway there, and, like, I feel like I don't have anything, and it's freaking me out. So, Monday, the lady came to my house, and she took my blood, and it all went really well. And I have really small veins, so I was worried that I wasn't, my blood flow can be very slow. But apparently it was, like, really good, and she filled up, like, a ton of vials. So I told her about that, and she, like, filled each one up halfway first. And she's like, okay, you filled up each one halfway. I'm just gonna go back there and fill them all the way. I'm like, okay, perfect. So, at the last vial, we had literally just finished, and the butterfly needle that was in my hand literally busted out of my hand. It just, like, shot out of my hand. And she's like, well, we finished, but I also didn't expect that to happen. And I felt so bad because, like, blood got everywhere. Even though she, like, came fully, like, in a smock and, like, mask and everything, I just still felt bad because I got, like, 2 drops of blood on her pants, and I ran and got her peroxide, and she was, like, the nicest person. She's like, this is getting sent out tonight. It'll arrive at the place tomorrow, which was yesterday. And then, your test results, you know, depending on how backed up they are and how many, like, tests they have, you know, they'll do your test and find out your results. And I am just so excited. Sorry. I'm constantly checking to see, like, if I'm getting the results, because I don't know if I'm getting the results, like, they're coming to me, or if they're going to my doctor, and then I have to, like, talk to my midwife and set up an appointment to find out the results and stuff. My foot is asleep. Hold on. My foot is, like, so asleep right now. Oh, there we go. So, I'm really excited about that. So that was pretty much, like, what has happened to me personally from 15 to 18, and I'm, like, sort of in the middle of 18. I will say, that during 18 weeks, like, the day I started 18 weeks, what was the symptom that I got that was freaking me out? Oh, okay, so I talked about this before. During my first trimester, like, I felt nothing really changed with me. I didn't have morning sickness, none of that, so I got really scared that, like, I wasn't really pregnant all the time, which really freaked me out. Okay, there we go. It's awake now. And, like, the day I turned 18 weeks, I started feeling this really strong pressure in my stomach, and I'm going to tell you why I think it was, because it's kind of gone away, but it's still there a little bit. So, I think, like, the first day I turned 18 weeks, we got pizza and wings for dinner, because my husband was, I think we were both, like, craving it, even though the place we wanted wasn't open. And we had that, and I knew immediately, because we got it from someplace we don't usually get it, I was like, I'm gonna have heartburn. So, I was like, crap, I'm gonna get heartburn. So I took a Tums right after I ate, and I didn't get heartburn, but I'm like, it's coming. Like, I know my body, I might not get heartburn, like, right when I eat something, but when I lay down to sleep, I get heartburn. So, middle of the night, I wake up in the middle of the night, like, out of a dead sleep, and I'm like, oh, I have the worst burning. Like, it is, ooh, it's fire. So, I took another Tums, and fun fact, I feel like a lot of people don't know this, but Tums stop you up. So, I am somebody who, that's, like, the one symptom I have dealt with pretty much throughout pregnancy is constipation. I was, like, super constipated at the beginning, and it sucked. So I got really constipated, like, the next 2 days, and it felt like, you know, when you eat too much and your stomach expands and it feels like it's about to frickin' explode? I felt like that for, like, 2 days, and I couldn't go to the bathroom, and I felt like I had gas, and I just couldn't get it out, and it was, like, horribly painful. And at the same time, I started feeling these, like, stretches, like on the side of my stomach, like where I could tell my stomach was stretching, and I'm like, I can't tell if my stomach's stretching because I'm getting bigger or just because I'm so bloated that it's like expanding my stomach. So I had those pains, and then finally, like, I had bowel movement, and like my stomach doesn't feel nearly as firm, but I've still been getting those kind of like stretches along my stomach, so I think my stomach might be expanding, which it hasn't like in the any time before this because I'm a large person, so there was like a bit of room for baby for a while. So oh my god, I'm having a baby, you guys. I'm so happy about that. So I've had that. I've also had, like, this itching. Like, one day I actually had itching on my belly button, which is crazy, because I know that a lot of women get itching when they're, like, stretching and stuff, and I haven't gotten that. So I was like, oh, things are happening. This is such a long video. Holy crap. But it's, like, 4 weeks, so, I mean, that's not so bad. But that has been the extent. I've been trying really hard to feel baby kick. I saw this thing online where it was, like, if people are trying to count, like, how many kicks their baby's doing, like, to drink a glass of cold water and then lay down in bed flat, put your hands on your stomach, and, like, turn off the TV and, like, try to feel baby kick. Well, I haven't felt baby kick, period. So I was like, you know what, I'm gonna try that. So I was thinking about it yesterday. I didn't get to do it. And then this morning, I, like, woke up and I rolled over, and the first thought was, oh, roll over on your back, because I've been trying to sleep on my side, which is, like, the worst part of pregnancy so far, is trying to sleep on my sides. I am so uncomfortable. But, I rolled over onto my back, and I'm like, oh, and I was, like, half awake, and I was like, oh, maybe if I lay still, because I heard, like, after you've been still for a while, when you move, baby kicks a lot. So I was like, maybe if I stay still, laying on my back, I'll feel baby move. And I feel like I was half awake and half asleep, but I kept feeling these things, and I remember thinking, like, that doesn't feel like bubbles popping. I'm like, that feels quite firm for a kick. Like, wait, is that a kick? And I was, like, half in and, like, half out. Like, so I don't know if this morning if I actually felt baby kick, because it was quite a few times. And I was like, well, maybe that kind of feels like a bubble popping. And I kind of woke up, and as I woke up, like, it stopped. So then, like, I filled this up with, like, ice and water and, like, drank it. And I laid back down to try to feel it, and I couldn't feel it anymore. But I was, like, really bummed. I was like, wait, was that real, or was that a dream? Did I just, like, make all that up in my head? But I'm pretty sure I felt it. I don't know. I really want to feel baby kick. But, yeah, so right now, we are just waiting on the results of the Down syndrome test and the gender. So, that is pretty much everything that has happened. Also, one other thing that has happened is the last couple nights I've been trying to go to sleep, and, like, my stomach feels so empty, and I get nauseous when I'm trying to sleep on my sides, and I have to toss and turn. And I think I realized that I need to eat something that'll stick to my stomach before bed, because I eat at, like, between 6 and 7. I try to eat early, between 6 and 7, and depending on when I go to bed, like, I'll wake up in the middle of the night, because I wake up most nights in the middle of the night, and my stomach just feels so empty, and I think, like, my stomach is empty, and it hurts, and I need to eat something that'll, like, stick to my stomach throughout the middle of the night. So last night I ate a little bit later. I, like, ate at 8, and it didn't happen last night, and I also ate peanut butter yesterday, but, like, my grandma and my husband both told me to eat peanut butter, so if that's happened to you, let me know. You guys aren't going to see this video for, like, a bajillion years. Anyways, so that is all of my updates for 15, 16, 17, and most of 18. So, woo! Did you guys enjoy that? I'm so sorry that it takes me so long to make these videos, but, I mean, we're getting somewhere. Baby is, like, big now. Baby is the size of, I think, like, a weird vegetable. It starts with an A. I know what it is. I just can't think about it, or think of it. Artichoke. Yeah, I got it before it opened. An artichoke, which is, I don't know, I always thought artichokes were just like this big, but last week it was a pomegranate. So let's see, our fun fact for today. Today, baby's big toe is about the size of a piece of popcorn. Oh wow, that's actually kind of big. Wait, like Oh, peppercorn, not popcorn. I'm like, popcorn's really big. Okay, the size of a peppercorn. Oh my god, I sound crazy. Okay, well, peppercorn's much smaller. I was like, that's really big, considering, like, their foot is only, like, this big. Okay, so that's cool. Yesterday, it told me that I was at the halfway point between the first day in which I would have tested positive on my pregnancy test and my due date. So, like, apparently, I guess you're only supposed to test positive, like, 4 weeks out, but I had legit tested positive on the 3rd week, which I find really interesting because I've always been told that it's the 3-week wait. So, I don't know if that's accurate or not, but if it's accurate to the day that I tested positive, then apparently yesterday was like my halfway point between the first day you could find out you're pregnant and your delivery date, which is kind of awesome. Or not delivery, but your due date. So that scared the shit out of me. I realized yesterday, I was like, oh my god, we're like halfway there. I need to get shit going. So I started getting really bad anxiety yesterday because I'm just like stressed about all the things that I need to do. So yeah, that's where we are right now. Lots of baby updates, and hopefully next update or a video like this, you will find out the baby's gender. I know there will be baby gender, like a video coming up where hopefully I announce baby's gender. I need to start actually posting these because I haven't posted a single baby video yet, so I need to like edit and post them. By which I mean post them because I don't edit anything. So yeah, hopefully you guys will find out like right now, which is like the end of July, so the beginning of August, you will find out that I'm pregnant. That's crazy. And then I might like do 2 a week to like catch up to things. Even though, wait, I didn't do mini videos, so we'll see what happens. But yeah, this has been a 30-minute long video. I'm gonna go now. I will see you guys in the next video. Have a great day. Bye!